Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Lizzie, and for today's video, I am watching a movie that I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name of, because I have no clue how to pronounce the name of it. You can see it in the title of this video, of course. I rented it just from the library. This is what the cover looks like. So I'm pretty actually excited about this one. I was just giving the back a little read, and it says, deep within the wind-swept marshes of war-torn medieval Japan, an impoverished mother and her daughter-in-law eke out a lonely, desperate existence, forced to murder lost samurai and sell their belongings for grain. They dump the corpses down a deep dark hole and live off of the meager spoils. When a neighbor returns, lust, jealousy, and rage threaten to destroy the trio's tenuous existence, and an ominous, ill-godded demon mask seals the horrifying fate. So it definitely sounds interesting. While reading that, I was like, I'm definitely interested in the bit about the woman and her daughter-in-law, and I was like, that sounds like that's gonna be really intense. And then they inserted that bit about the mask, and I already, going into this, don't know how I feel about that. And right off the bat, before even seeing it, I feel like I was excited about that part, not sure how I feel about the mask part. But we'll see what I actually think after the film's over, and I'll let you know. So just finished with watching, and like I said, this film centers around these two women in a small village in a war-torn Japan who have to fight and kill samurais to survive. They steal their belongings and sell them to a local man in the town. And that is something that I really liked about this film, is the fact that it really centers around these two main female characters for really the entirety of the film. There's a third character, the neighbor, that does come into play, but you have these two strong women who are the ones that are doing the killing and fighting and stealing, basically. And they're really just like two badass women who are just doing what they have to do to survive, and they're selling, like I said, they're selling the belongings to a man, but they're the ones that are out there doing the hunting, basically, which was a really awesome aspect of this film. Especially, I'm not sure what year this was actually made and what year it's actually set in. I don't know if those were different, but I think that regardless, given kind of the environment that's going on, and where it's set, that was a really awesome aspect for this film. And these two women, they really do have like this great bond. Obviously, like I said, they're mother and daughter-in-law, and the neighbor, he does return, and you find out that him and the husband/son to these women had been kidnapped and forced to become soldiers in this war by one side, and then eventually he kind of tells the story of how they were then kidnapped by the other side, and they managed to escape, but then were caught by some farmers trying to steal, and unfortunately the husband/son is killed, and only the neighbor manages to escape. And you're a little skeptical of him, so is like the mother, because he just kind of tells the story as if like you're telling a story about like a night out on the town, like, and I don't really know how long he's been gone. It's at least, several months, and so maybe it's just the wars got him fucked up, because you don't really know what he's like prior to that. They seem to like know him and be like semi-close. Like, I mean, he goes to their hut first, even though like their huts are pretty like far away from each other. You find out that they are kind of across this field. But yeah, he goes to like their hut first and just tells them all of this. And yeah, he's just telling the story kind of very like almost nonchalantly, and tells them how he was killed. And the mother at one point in the film even says that she feels like maybe he did it or had something to do with it, which you don't really find out. They don't elaborate on that any further, but it definitely kind of gives you that vibe, and you're kind of like, same girl, same. Uh, but this neighbor is a total creeper. And he does kind of end up coming in between these two women. He's really is like hitting on the daughter a lot and just being a real creepy perv. And I don't know if it's just that I'm jaded or that it happens so often in films, not just horror films, or if you're meant to feel like something bad is gonna happen, like he is going to try to assault her at some point. And every time he's just being like real creeper and they're kind of alone, the mother ends up stepping in, and she is very protective. And I really, really love the aspect of these two women's relationship, because even after they find out that this man that's connected them has died, they still, you know, obviously stick together. They kind of have to, but they still really do have like the strong bond, and the mother is very much protective of her, not just because it's her son's wife, but I think, but that does play a part of it. She obviously, you know, is sad about her son, and this is kind of the only person that she has left, so she is very protective of her, and just constantly steps in and tells her like, stay away from him because he's hunting you, basically. But the daughter does end up actually going to him on her own, which was a bit of a surprise to me. Not something that I expected. I kind of expected that there was gonna be, like I said, an assault moment, or a moment when they kill him. Like, I definitely expected that to happen, which is not what happens. And she goes to him on her own, and they start this seemingly just sexual relationship at first, though they do towards the end of the film kind of bond a little bit more, and really want to be together, which at first you're like, when she goes to him, you're like, why? Like, he's this creepy older, like, I don't think it's that much older, but old enough creepy pervy dude, who's hella fucking weird, which, I mean, he's off at war, so who knows. And she's like a pretty beautiful woman, so you're just like, what is she thinking? But I think, you know, she's lonely. She finds out her husband's dead, and again, it starts out as like a strictly sexual relationship, and of course the mother-in-law finds out, and she is not happy about it, in part because I think she does mention that she thinks that like her son may return at some point, but so she's still like kind of holding on to that, and she just also is scared of losing her. She doesn't want to be alone. She does kind of need her to survive, and she, you know, says that she can't do the killing and stealing on her own, but she doesn't confront the daughter-in-law, as she actually does confront the neighbor, tells him to like stay away and leave her alone, and asks that he not take the daughter away from her. But it doesn't really help. The daughter does keep trying to go back to him every night, and so at one point a man shows up claiming to be a like samurai general, and he is, you know, dressed head to toe in the uniform, but he is wearing this demon-like mask, and basically the mother, and he shows up while the mother is alone and forces her to take him through this field, trying to like get out of the field, and she ends up guiding him and tricking him into falling into this hole where they put the bodies of the men they have been killing. So she ends up taking the mask after he has fallen into this hole and uses that and like his uniform and things to dress up like a demon, and she goes out. She tells the daughter that she's going to sell products to this man that she's been selling them to, or belongings, I guess, and ends up just waiting out in the field a couple of nights in a row for the daughter to show up, and she ends up and like scares her. But even though the daughter-in-law is getting like terrified and does believe that there is this demon, she still doesn't stay away. And one night again, while it's like raining and gross, she goes out again, and he ends up actually running to her, and they meet in the middle of this field and have sex in it. And the mother-in-law realizes that like she can't keep them apart. She kind of comes to realize that, you know, she's doing wrong. She actually ends up the next morning, she's at the hut, the daughter-in-law returns, and she finds the mother in the corner, basically like hovering, and she can't get the mask off. It will not come off of her face, it is stuck, and they try to pull it off and work on it, and she does confess to the daughter that she was obviously in fact the one behind the mask and not a real demon, and she apologizes, and you know, she's basically kind of the moral of the story is like not to meddle in other people's lives, because she's like, I meddled and now I can't get the mask off and it's stuck. And the daughter does end up getting the mask off, but she is now disfigured, which was another thing the samurai, when the mother took the mask off of the samurai, he was disfigured as well. So she should have known, but she just assumed that was like his face. And so I'm not gonna give away, like, I'm kind of giving away a lot, basically telling you everything that happens in this film. I'm not gonna give away the complete ending, but it does leave with a bit of a cliffhanger. You don't really know, like, what exactly happens with the rest of with these characters. You don't know who lives and who dies, and it's just left us a cliffhanger, and I was just like, what? But it was actually a really, really good film. It's about an hour 41, so I will say that it does drag on a little bit in certain parts. There's some stuff that maybe could have been cut out, but it is a lot of, like, you do have a lot of character, like, information, and they do show a lot of, like, the connection between these characters. So I wouldn't say that there were, like, large sections of the film that I feel like could have been cut out. There was no real parts where you're, like, sitting there going, okay, what is this happening? Like, a lot of it was necessary, but there's still probably some little small bits that they could have cut down, because I did just feel like it did kind of drag on for a bit. But it was still a really, really good, enjoyable film, if you don't mind subtitles. So if you enjoy Japanese horror, I think that you would really like this one, especially because it is based off of, or I do believe it is still generally based off of kind of Japanese mythology, or beliefs, I guess. They do talk about, like, hell and Buddha, and it is very interesting that you kind of have this neighbor and the daughter-in-law who don't really believe, but the mother does believe in, like, hell and Buddha, or at least she uses that kind of belief to try and, like, scare the daughter. Not really, like, 100% sure if she actually believes that or she's just, like, saying it, but it's definitely very interesting, because obviously, like, here in America, that's kind of a big thing, more so I feel like with, like, Christianity, or, like, those type of Christian religions, but, so it's very interesting to see that same kind of dynamic go on with another religion, or another god, I guess. So I really liked it. I thought it was a good film. If you have happened to see this one, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. And of course, if you did enjoy this review, please do give a big old thumbs up. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button for more horror-related content. And I will see you guys again tomorrow with another video. Bye.